Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. It's time for the daily video. We've got some good setups to talk about and some good things to watch for in the coming several hours and definitely for the rest of this week. Let's just have a quick look at the U.S. markets. You can see that oil is creeping right up into that $100 mark. We haven't seen it there for a little while, but it's summer and it's pretty typical to see that that move up there. Gold is down a little bit. We'll look at gold in just a moment. S&P and Dow are both down, just not huge amounts, but S&P is basically flat. Dow looks like it's going to close, near 50 pips points in the negative. Excuse me. So, anyways, a little bit on the down side for U.S. markets. As far as news goes today, remember we have retail sales and trade balance for Australia at 6:30 tonight. So that's in just less than 6 hours. That's going to get Aussie pairs moving, and that's going to be important because we're going to look at some setups on the Aussie pairs, and that will definitely play into that. Coming into tomorrow, remember we have the ADP report, we have trade balance for the U.S. and Canada, unemployment claims for the U.S., ISM non-manufacturing for the U.S., and then more yen and Aussie news tomorrow. So it's going to be a pretty heavy news day tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that. Euro dollar has been kind of up and down and all around. It's been bouncing around this 130 on the bottom here, just below 130, and just around 130, 100 up at the top here for the last 5 days or so. Just really been hopping around there. Finally today, just recently actually, we broke below, made a clean clear break below that 130. We're staying in this channel fairly well. We're kind of coming down it nicely, and you can see that this bottom one's really well supported. The top part of the channel, we have to keep adjusting with new movements. But for the most part, it seems like 130-100 is holding fairly well and has been holding fairly well. We don't have any missed pivots at this point that need to be taken out on the euro dollar, so it's all potential downside, activity here. So there should be some nice opportunities. One thing that I would like to see, I think we might have an opportunity to short against around 130. You can see we're sitting here around 129.75, 76, so there might be an opportunity to short around 130. So we'll keep our eye on that. There is plenty of, again, plenty of downside potential here for this to continue on down. We have some lows at 128.00, and we go back here to 127.50 and all that. And you can see that this channel here that has been, again, very well supported on the bottom side is wide open for further downward movement. There's plenty of space down there for this euro to continue. So that's kind of what we're looking for. We're going to be looking for those opportunities to short first off against 130, and if this does run up just a bit, I wouldn't mind to get in against this high here of 130.70. It's about 130.80 right around there, so that would be a good opportunity if we got up just above 130 once again, like 130.15, 130.20, somewhere in there. I think that merits probably a 50 or so pip stop loss. Markets are choppy though. We're in summertime. You can see that a lot of these pairs are just chopping around. This is typical summer activity, and so we have to kind of be prepared for it and watching for it. The pound dollar has been trending down fairly nicely, but again, over the last several days, it's really just been a lot of sideways activity. The thing that makes me a little nervous about the pound dollar, it's staying in this channel nicely, but it has not taken out the weekly pivot like the euro dollar has, and we have a missed daily pivot back here on Thursday as well. So the pound dollar, the further down it gets, the more likely of that bigger turnaround. So we have to be a little careful on these pound dollar shorts. But for the moment, I think that we have a nice opportunity. I want to see this pound retrace a little bit, but this 152.50 seems to be holding really well. Lots of consolidation around there, and then that's happened to be the high of the week. And so I think if we can get a little bit of retracement, we're only about 95 pips off that. If we can get about halfway up there, 40 or 50 pips of retracement sometime between now and the UK session, I would like to short against that area. We've got a lot of resistance here. We've got the top of this channel. You can see that the pound dollar staying in this channel very nicely. Some bullish engulfing candles, a lot of good things happening there to give us opportunity to get down into this larger ascending trend line. So still looking for the pound dollar to short again. Just a little bit of a run up here. Like I said, halfway would be great. If we got this, if we had an opportunity at 152.00, that would be like a definite sell the heck out of this thing. And that would put us again around 40 to 50 pips from the high there, and I think that's a great area to start looking to get short on this pound dollar once again, and ultimately targeting 150, 100, and even potentially much further below. Um, Aussie dollar is kind of interesting in that it is, it's kind of staying in this larger trend, this larger channel. Um, it's going to be an interesting one. You know, we had a little bit of negative dovish news out of the Bank of Australia, and so far that's definitely adding to this continued downside movement that we're seeing on the Aussie. I'm semi interested. We have a lot of long wicks down here, which tells us that the market's moving down, but it's kind of unconvinced. There's a lot of potential reversal candles, nice little hammer right here. You know, a lot of that stuff that means this might be turning around. So I'm kind of just watching this trend line, seeing what it does. Ultimately, I could be pretty interested in the closer we get to this low, to buying off of this low. This low is 91, about 9100. So if we get a little closer to that, like within 15 pips, and we can really take a short-term tight trade, I think that'll be a good opportunity to maybe buy off that. But ultimately, I think the Aussie's headed lower. I think it's going to break this channel. You can see that we're just at the top of this channel. Excuse me, not break the channel, but stay in the channel. We're at the top of this channel. It's bouncing around. I think we're going to probably break this low and head down, but we'll probably get a little bit of a bounce before we get there. So I think the Aussie, it's got some room to continue down. It's definitely been sold off like crazy, and will probably continue to be so. But again, look for opportunities to catch a bounce, to get long around 91.15, 91.20 area, and see if we can get a bounce back up in this general area. But for the most part, I'm ultimately looking for 9100 to break, and for the Aussie to be headed into the high 80s sooner than later, 8800, 8900, probably fairly quickly. So looking for that, watching for that, waiting for that. Aussie yen, again, we have news coming out for Australia, so it's going to be a little tricky on these pairs, but we have a nice double top here around 92.15. If we break this 92.15, we have a little bit of room to continue to the upside, but we're going to start to get into a kind of a decent amount of resistance here, so we have to keep our eye on that. Ultimately, I kind of like shorting against this high on this Aussie yen, but we have a couple of good reversal candles right here that are telling us that the movement up should be strong-ish. So I'm kind of watching that, waiting for that, looking for that. But if we get a break of this trend line, I will start to look for opportunities to trade this back down in the bottom of the channel. But I'm probably, again, not going to do too much on Aussie yen or Aussie dollar until after the news, which is several hours out. Euro yen is really hopping around. It's bouncing around here. We still have a missed weekly pivot, missed daily pivot, and this will be a good opportunity to watch just this trend channel here. It's kind of running up, and if we can get a break of this channel, that's going to be what I'm looking for to sell this thing and get short. But I really do want to see the break of that channel before I do too much. I think bouncing around in the channel is probably going to be a little bit tricky, so I'm looking for this channel to break out to give us that opportunity. And kind of the same thing with the pound yen. Pound yen's at the top of this channel, and so we may actually have opportunities to short the pound yen off of the top of that channel. Now, you can see that it's broken through a couple of highs, and it's done some of that, and we have some big bearish candles, but it is coming into some resistance here, and it has kind of come off that, so there may be some opportunities to short against these highs towards the bottom of the channel. We have missed pivots way down here, some good downward targets that I think the pound yen might be willing and ready to finally pay out. So I'm going to be looking for that, but again, it's summer markets, things are choppy, we got to be careful and cautious, and make sure that we don't get ourselves in any kind of trouble here while things are chopping around. Watch those channels, watch support and resistance, look for those reversals, and good luck. We'll see you guys in the chat for the daily wrap-up session, and make sure to follow me on Twitter at DayTradersFX. Thanks, everyone.